Program started. First of all, we want to welcome back our good friend Gene Richards. He is an attorney. He's an elder law attorney that specializes in so many things relative to elder law. He's spoken at our group several times. He's joined our Zoom meetings already. And he's also really good. He must be connected, or he must be just friendly, because he's able to get people that know what they're doing join him in presenting to us about topics that are important to us. Would you agree, Gene? You're pretty connected.
I am very fortunate to have good friends, and it is the path of least resistance. I figure if I don't have to talk about it, it's even better. So,
well, again, you guys, welcome. This is Gene. Gene Richards is the man that we requested to speak again. And one of the hot topics for our group was about Medicare and insurance. And as Gene and our guest Jan Sherman have pointed out, it's almost like the intersection of Medicare enrollment with auto insurance reform, and it makes it very difficult to navigate through this process. So Jan Sherman, whom you see on your screen, which is great because his contact information is there, is a CFP for the company, the Benefits Edge LLC, and he is an expert on navigating benefits. He must be, or he wouldn't be called a benefits tamer. So we all could use a benefits tamer in our lives. So without further ado, again, we welcome you. I am going to remind everybody's really getting this Zoom thing. During presentations, we're going to mute you, or you to help me mute yourselves. And that way there won't be any background noises or clocks or other things impacting people's ability to hear and process information. And then there'll be some time for questions at the end, and we'll give you a chance to do that. Okay, Jan, welcome. We're really glad you're here.
Well, me too. Thank you. Yes, I am a benefits tamer. I have been friends with Gene for years, and it's a two-way street. I love knowing really good, honest, caring professionals that are going to help my clients as well. So I'm lucky to have him as a referral partner. I do all parts of this health insurance stuff. So I do individual health. I'm in the elite circle of champions in the marketplace because I enroll over 100 people a year. I do Medicare. I do employee benefits for 40 companies. So my advantage here is that I can tell you how all these pieces of the jigsaw puzzle come together. I'm also licensed to sell auto and homeowners insurance, but I'm not an expert at that, so I don't do it. But I know a little bit about it. Okay, so with that, I use a PowerPoint really to keep me on track. If you have regular health insurance, there are certain stipulations that are in place. So first one is to qualify. A lot of people want to waive their PIP coverage or reduce it. So the first thing is that your deductible can't be higher than $6,000. So that's a pretty easy measure. There are no policies with $6,000 deductibles that I've ever seen. Usually they're going to be in the 5,000 range. And if you have a higher deductible to save money, that ends the discussion right there. So you don't qualify for any changes. Then the next question is, does your insurance play nice with the car insurance? Some of your insurance policies say that they're not going to pay for stuff due to an accident because they're going to want your car insurance to pay for it. So you need to know the rules. You need to know what your coverage is, and will they pay part of it? Will they coordinate with it, or will they pay nothing? And the best way to find that out is probably to ask your health insurance agent. And ultimately, if you're going to want to make adjustments, you'll probably need documentation anyway. So you can call the customer service number on the back of your health insurance card, and they'll send you a letter that you can pass along to your property and casualty agent. If you're going to do health insurance primary, and this will be very similar for your Medicare, but just keep in mind, people don't understand that the mechanics change here. There's two pieces to what they talk about. One has been around forever, where you can get a discount on your auto and homeowners if health insurance is primary. But that also means you're going to pay all your deductibles and everything up front, where PIP isn't like that. So PIP is going to come in after your health insurance or Medicare and fill in some of the gaps, but you're still going to have the upfront costs. And the out-of-pocket can be significant. So, you know, with health insurance, your deductible and out-of-pocket resets every year. So if you have a serious injury or illness that's going to span many years, you keep on getting hit with those big bills. So you have to keep that in mind when you're deciding the value of PIP coverage. Okay, next,
Just to
please.
review,
Yes,
say, what does PIP stand for again?
your personal insurance protection, personal injury, sorry. And that's part of your auto and homeowners insurance. So the new legislation is allowing you, if you're on Medicare, it's allowing you to waive it all together and just use your Medicare. If you have health insurance, you have the option of reducing your benefits at different levels. And I would ask your auto and home agent to explain those levels to you, because they're going to vary based on different factors. But you can have reduced PIP coverage. But I'll show you how these pieces fit together. And I think in the end, it becomes pretty simple. One thing to remember is that Medicare is always secondary. So if you've got your PIP coverage or any other kind of thing, Medicare is going to pay on the back end there. If there is nothing, if there is no other coverage, if you waive your PIP, then your Medicare steps up and they're going to be your only coverage. But remember, Medicare covers what Medicare covers. They don't really care that this was a car accident. So you're not getting anything different than what you already have, and all the same rules apply. Okay, so it's Medicare is not intended to make you whole when you have an automobile accident. You get only what Medicare will cover. The other thing that people are not aware of is part of the legislation now allows people to sue and be sued for excess damages. You know, because they're getting lower coverage, there may not be enough money there to make someone whole, so they can sue beyond that. So if you have your Medicare paying and then you win a lawsuit, you know, the attorneys will take their part, and then Medicare is going to come back and take their part. Whatever they paid for you, they're going to take from that lawsuit settlement as well. So, you know, so in reality, really, it may not even make sense to go through a lawsuit. By the time everybody gets their parts, you don't get any benefit anyway. But that's sort of a little bit of a hidden trap there. The other thing is that if very often it's a senior in the household that goes on Medicare, and then their younger family members are still on health insurance, everyone's got to be in the same boat here. So if the person on Medicare wants to waive coverage, the whole family has to have qualifying health insurance with low deductibles before they can do that. You can't break it up within the family if you're all on the same policy. So not a simple thing. And again, if you have a good property and casualty agent, they're going to be able to walk you through that and see how that works for your particular family. So this slide is going to be a little bit tricky to navigate remotely, because we just sort of move through these. I think you'll see how this works in a minute, Bob. So what I've done is try to put these topics together and then show you how each piece fits as we go. So there's going to be a click for each topic here, or actually 3 or 4. So accident-related medical expenses, that's the first big question. I have an accident, go in the hospital, how is this going to be covered? So you'll see Medicare, it's sort of an amber, they'll cover what Medicare covers. Health insurance also, you're going to pay your deductibles and your maximum out-of-pockets and copays. But PIP, that's the green one, PIP is going to cover 100%. If you've ever gone to the emergency room, you may be curious why they ask you 7 different ways if it was a car accident. Was this a car accident? Were you touching your car? Were you hit by a car? Were you thinking about your car? They want to know this because PIP is a gold mine for the doctors. Where health insurance and Medicare have specific amounts they'll pay for services. PIP says, just charge us whatever you think is fair and we'll pay it. So you can imagine the doctors and hospitals love that situation. One reason our car insurance is so expensive. So if there's any way that they can connect you to your car for these bills, they're going to want to do that. Okay, but so very comprehensive, first dollar, everything's covered. And then also year to year, once you're into that process, you don't have a renewal, you don't get a new deductible, PIP will continue to take care of you. So lost income due to accident. So if you're working and you become disabled due to your accident, can be short-term or long-term, Medicare is not going to replace your income, neither will health insurance, but PIP coverage actually will. And better than most disability policies, they'll replace up to 85% for up to 3 years. So that's huge protection if you're working and earning an income. So the inpatient care, so that's really skilled nursing. So Medicare will cover that certain ways. Usually it requires like a 3-day hospital stay first, and then, you know, they'll cover skilled care for usually up to 20 days. And that'll vary a little based on the policies you have. Health insurance has certain built-in protections for skilled care. So this is not someone to just come and help out. These are nurses and doctors that have to come to your home. PIP will cover all of that. No limitations. They take care of it. Attendant care would, so that's more custodial care. So Medicare does not cover custodial. If you need someone to just come in and help with maybe bathing and cleaning and maybe cook a couple of meals, some of the Advantage plans now are having a little bit of that, but as a rule, Medicare itself, original Medicare, does not cover any kind of custodial care. Health insurance won't cover it. Your PIP will. It's so comprehensive and so valuable. Transportation costs to medical appointments. So, you know, if you have an accident and you need to take Uber to go to the doctor, your Medicare and health insurance aren't going to cover that, but PIP will. They'll pay for you to get to and from your doctor. So in case of an accident, this is huge. Home accommodations. So you have an accident, you're in a wheelchair, you need ramps, grab bars. PIP will pay to have that done. Your health insurance and Medicare will not. And that can be pricey. And sometimes that's what you need. Maybe you need to build out on your shower so you can roll in. Those are things that can be very expensive that your PIP coverage is going to step up and help with. Skilled nursing facilities. So be similar to the patient care, but Medicare will cover that, but there are stipulations like that 3-day hospital stay first, that type of thing. Health insurance will cover it to a degree. PIP will cover it pretty much unlimited. Right? Case management services. This may sort of seem like a very vague thing. So your Medicare will cover it to some degree. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, then you'll get more of that. Health insurance, if you have an HMO, they sort of stick their fingers in. But if you have an accident and you've got, you have an army of doctors taking care of you and a laundry list of medications, having a case manager that can coordinate all of this is really valuable. And that's something that PIP will cover for you. Right? Vocational rehab, physical therapy, both going to be very similar. So Medicare covers those things, but only as long as they say medically necessary and you're improving. And that's somebody else's opinion. And I know I've lived it. My dad took a fall. He's 92, and he injured his shoulder and was getting physical therapy. They said that he had improved as far as he was able to, and they stopped. And he kept working on it, showed improvement, had him come back and continue. But a third party is going to be evaluating whether they're going to continue that or not. With PIP coverage, and with health insurance, you have a limited number. You may get 30 visits. PIP coverage will keep paying for it as long as you need it. Physical therapy will be the same thing. Guardian and conservatorship expenses. So this is where Gene becomes invaluable. So of course, you want to talk to him ahead of time to get everything in order, get your trust, will, and everything, strategies put together. But sometimes life sneaks up on you. Car accident can make change your situation. Your health insurance and Medicare are not going to pay a good, honest professional to help you get everything in order, but PIP will. They'll absorb those costs. And then finally, the replacement services, they should come up with a better name because it doesn't sound like anything. But if you need this, it's coming. The snow is coming. You get injured, you can't shovel your walk. They have a budget. They'll pay people to come out and shovel your walk and maybe do a little bit of cleaning or take out your garbage. Some of these services that you normally would be able to do day to day can be covered by PIP coverage. So it's so comprehensive, and I think people are short-sighted because they don't know what it is. So they look at a possible savings and they say, sure, like, I don't care, just get rid of that, I never use it anyway. This is really important to see how much it covers, how all-encompassing it is. And yes, it's only car accident related, but if one of those things happen, I have an acquaintance who worked at a closed head injury place, a rehab, and they have residents that live there full time, and it's paid for 100% by their car insurance. So unless you have a tremendous long-term care policy, that's going to quickly become unaffordable. And then you really need Gene because he can help with the Medicaid management, but that's not really the goal. And you want to be able to pick the place you want to go and get the best care possible, and your PIP coverage will pay for a lifetime of care. I just want to give a perspective on this. Are you really saving money? It's like, to me, saving money means I'm getting the same value, the same thing for less money. So you tell me, hey, Jen, I want to get a car. So, I can save you a ton of money. I'll show you a way to get around. I'll save you a ton. You say, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. I mean a car. I want a car. Okay, that's fine. So we'll save you some money on a car. Still not the same as a shiny new vehicle. So, but the point is, are you saving money? I have a brilliant plan for saving half on your groceries, 50% on your groceries. It's really simple. Buy half of what you normally do. So yes, you're going to pay less, but are you really saving money? So I'm saving you money if I can get you a 50% off coupon for your shopping trip that you normally buy. But just because you're paying less, that's not fair to think you're saving money. To sum it up, you can forget about all of these details. The bottom line is, if having this full PIP coverage doesn't cause you a financial hardship, I would say keep the coverage. It's an amazing value for what you're getting. And, hopefully you're wasting your money. You never get in a car accident. You don't need it. But if the day comes when you do need it, it's a tremendous value, and it's going to provide tremendous support at a time when you really need it. That's what I have to say about that. And, just to underscore this, I don't sell car insurance. So there's nothing in this for me. It's not like I'm going to get you to pay more and I come out ahead on this. It's really, sincerely, I did it myself. I mean, I'm on Medicare and I had the choice, and I'm keeping full coverage. Not only that, I'm increasing, I have a $1 million liability umbrella on top of that, because now people can sue me if they don't like what the insurance company does. So I'm living it, and I believe it, and that's my heartfelt advice to you. So if you have questions, I guess we can stop that screen share, and I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Let's open it up for questions. Keep yourself muted unless you're asking a question, but it's easier for us if you wave your hand, and then we'll unmute you. Lisa.
Hi, Jan. This is George. Was Lisa's caregiver. So just two questions. One is real brief, and I think you kind of answered it. Lisa's still with the big three, and has a pretty good level of health insurance. So no matter what health insurance she's having, she's eligible to retire. So she'll carry that all the way through to age 65. She should still buy the top level of PIP.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know,
Okay.
maybe I said it too quickly. I would want to look at her health insurance. If you look at your health insurance and you're comfortable with that risk ongoing year after year, then maybe she could reduce it. But there's a lot more than just health insurance involved there. So, you know, that's like, if financially, if it's a cash flow issue and it means you can't pay bills, then it's a different story. But if that's not the situation, I think it's best to stay with it.
Excellent. Okay, this question, I don't know if it's appropriate for you, Jan. Lisa's considering returning to work full-time at the Big Three. How is she's approved for disability, both for mental and physical. How is that Michigan disability going to be impacted if she goes back to work full-time at the Big Three?
Is it Social Security disability?
Yes.
Yeah, so I can speak generally about disability insurance. That's a product I'm familiar with. I don't know about that in particular, but if she's working, she's not considered disabled. So,
Okay.
So those benefits would end. And has it been 24 months? Is she on she's not on Medicare, or she is?
Not Medicare. It's been 24 months, but I'm not on Medicare.
Yeah, just and help me out. Is it Part A, Part B is what they refer to them as? Yes, she did not purchase Part A, so she defaults and gets Part B. Is that
Okay?
correct? It works?
Because once you're on Social Security disability for 24 months, they will automatically move you onto Medicare.
Yes,
So
she was moved in, but it was optional to purchase the Part A versus
Part B. Part B is the purchase. Yeah.
Okay, so she declined Part B so far.
Okay, and that's fine because she has her employee benefits that are filling that gap for her.
Okay, and a kind of related question. So let's say 6 months from now, a year from now, she can't work full time. I mean, it's too much. It's too overwhelming. Is she allowed to go back and reapply for Social Security disability?
So this is an off the record answer. I'm sure she would be, but that's not my area of expertise. But if she's again disabled, then I would say she could apply again.
All right, great. Thank you for your answers. They were excellent.
My question is in regard, and also a follow-up to what you just said to Lisa. I am on this disability, but I have to reprove my disability every year for my secondary disability, as well as then every now and then for the federal or the Social Security disability. But they have a return to work program for the federal disability, which gives you if you participate in that program, and I don't know all the details, but I know that there is a program out there, and they don't take away everything right away. They give you time to prove that you can maintain something before the funds go totally away, is what I have been said, which is trying to tempt me to get back in the workplace. And I don't know if that's great or not, but that was my follow-up to what you said. I would love to hear more about that. And second, I want to ask about long-term disability insurance coupled with my Medicare, my Medigap Blue Cross thing, and I have a long-term care plan. Am I okay there? Because I have now conditions that are not car accident related that will need forever coverage. So if I have a PIP thing, I went ahead and opted out of that for right now, but I'm trying to figure out if that was the right choice, because it has to be linked to a car accident. And for me, they're always going to go back to, you had a stroke and it predates, so your problem isn't the car accident, it's something else. Thoughts? Help
They
me.
certainly could do that. So it's going to be auto-related costs. And, insurance companies, sadly, are not there to give you money. So if they can find grounds to say this is pre-existing and this is not from the accident, you're right. They probably will not pay a benefit. As far as the other plans, you sort of covered a lot of ground there. Are you talking about long-term disability or long-term care? Long-term disability is income replacement. Long-term care is usually nursing home and in-home care.
It's long-term care.
Okay, so those policies, usually they have a pool of money, and then so it depends on how your policy is structured. You may have $250,000 to spend, and they'll say you could spend $5,000 a month for in-home care, $7,500 in a nursing home, but it's usually not lifetime. There are old policies that were, but they're so expensive, they're rarely sold anymore. So you usually have something that's good for 2, 3, 5 years of benefits until that money runs out. So it depends on what your specific policy would provide for.
Okay, so which one of you gentlemen do I need to have look at that policy with me?
I can review it for sure. Yeah, if you can even get me just a summary page, we can talk about it. And
Okay, I just
Yeah.
want to know where I have to do my follow-up. Thank you.
If I could just interject one thing, Jan, to Elaine. So again, deflecting someone else, but if you have questions about Social Security disability, either qualifying for that or appealing a denial, or maybe back to work program, I have someone I've referred to over the years. She is in the area and she specializes, that's her concentration of her work, is Social Security disability. So feel free to, again, either directly to me or through Joyce, reach out and I'm happy to connect you.
Again, Gene has a guy and he's got a gal.
This is for Lisa and her husband. We know someone who did have Social Security disability, and then because he was of age, he opted out of it. And his parents were like, oh no, oh. They got it back for him, but it was very difficult. Very difficult. So I just wanted you to know that at least this is someone, happens to be his brother, who did have this happen. Oh, I do have one other thing. Richard had a stroke 32 years ago, and at that time he did not qualify for long-term care. And I did. I still have it. This is a John Hancock policy. Does he qualify now? After all these years, he's still alive. Can't speak, but he's alive.
That's not a simple question.
Okay.
The underwriting for long-term care policies has gotten stricter and stricter. The market has contracted. There used to be dozens and dozens of companies, and now there's just a handful that are offering it. So the authoritative answer is it depends. It's like they're going to ask a ton of health questions. If aside from not being able to speak, he's healthy, there's a chance, and it may be worth exploring. But they really dig deep. They again, the insurance, they're going to look for reasons not to issue the policy. They work hard at that.
Sounds like it's not worth the time.
Well, there are different variations, different plans that offer different things. So it depends on what your concerns are. And some of them I just don't want this to sound like a sales pitch, but I got one plan that does in-home care, which has really basic questions. Is the person able to perform all their activities of daily living? Are they in a nursing home? And have they been told that they're going to be in the hospital the next 60 days? That's it. And if you answer no to all that, they can get it. It's very limited, but anything from there on up, they ask more and more questions, the more coverage you're going to want.
Thank you.
This is to Jan. On my automobile insurance with the PIP, the government in Michigan made a big deal about improving the conditions and saving money. Is that how it actually turned out? That the average guy who has nothing wrong about anything just applies for the full coverage like I had before? Did the rates go up, down, or stay the same? And that would include the that extra fee for I'm not sure what it is, but it's like $40 a car. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that the emergency fund. What I'm hearing is, again, the official answer is always it depends. So some people have saved some money, others are paying more. It's just different. I feel for them because the auto and home agents are going through what I went through 6 years ago when health care reform hit. It's like they just came in and said, okay, everything we start over now. Here's all the new rules, go figure it out. And not only that, they're going through the same thing because the state is still figuring it out. There are areas where you ask your agent and they're going to tell you they still don't know. Where there is potential for big savings, I'm hoping, is that phase 2 of this is that they are actually going to start scheduling benefits like health insurance. So starting the next phase, it's not going to be up to the doctor to decide what's reasonable, but they're going to say, we're going to pay $3,000 for a broken hip, and that's what you're going to get. If they can control those costs, then there's potential to lower the cost. But otherwise, frankly, I think it was just a lot of smoke and mirrors. They jostled a lot of things around so they could say we did this, and they gave you the option to pay less.
Yeah.
So if you want to, you can pay less, but by my definition, I don't know that I would call that saving money. If you're not getting the same thing for less money, then it's not fair to say you saved anything.
Yeah, well, that's consistent with what my insurance man was saying. He says, if you can afford it, which I can, go ahead and then get the full coverage, and you'll, in all cases, be better off no matter what. Even if you don't have to use it, you've always got that potential of being tied up. And as a secondary comment, my wife, Mary, had a stroke, and she took physical therapy at a place that had a lot of patients that were on the PIP automotive case. And boy, they were in there a lot and got all kinds of continuous improvement, and a lot of work went in. And they didn't seem to be worried about losing it like on, I'll say, regular insurance. You only get so far, and as you mentioned, someone else decides. It seemed like on the PIP program, they had less critical need for getting better constantly, because these guys were in this program for years and years. So that's my observation. PIP is a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's accurate.
I just want to interject as a therapist of 40 years and an automobile survivor, an accident survivor. I got cut off after AAA gave me moderate benefits for 3 years. And despite several doctors writing letters that I didn't ask them to write saying, you still can't drive, you still have a lot of pain, you still have bones that aren't healed. My experience as a patient was a bit of a nightmare. I was dealing with claims. I had 17 claims adjusters in 17 years, and AAA kicked me out despite my doctor saying legitimately, you're asking her to go back to work, but she's still got bones that are broken. What's right? So, and I had AAA. So all I'm saying is whether it's giving up your disability benefits and trying to go back to work, I think it's amazing and wonderful. Sometimes it is, from my patient's experience. Sometimes it's very difficult to get back those benefits once you've sort of surrendered them. But I absolutely encourage, and I'm inspired by anyone that has a plan that can make that goal happen, because I totally believe in that, or I wouldn't have been an OT for 4 years. I'm just saying though that I think it almost sounds, Jan, like you're talking about a managed care plan eventually, and that makes me nervous. Oh, here's your pot of money. You got a broken hip, and everybody's experience is going to be the same. And from professional and personal experience, that's scary too. But I'll mute myself. Jan, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, the schedule of the schedule for costs is something that hospitals and doctors have been living with forever. I mean, even with long-term care, that's really when the policies became popular, is, you know, about 30, 40 years ago. They started something called DRGs, diagnostically related groups. So that's when the hospitals start pushing people out quicker and sicker, because they got to fix costs. You know, you're going to be $3,000 to fix a broken hip. I don't want you here. I want to turn that bed over and get someone else to give me $3,000. So that changed the way hospitals and doctors are treating people. It was, now you become a commodity, and it's not like we want to keep you here longer because we keep getting paid. We got all our money up front. We're done with you. So that increased the need, and it changed the whole landscape, because before that, long-term care, usually you were going to a nursing home to die. Now people are in and out of nursing homes. They go to rehabs and things after surgery just to get better. And sometimes it can be months, but they're not going to live there. They're just there getting put back together and getting back on their feet. And that can be very expensive if you have to be there for an extended period. So it's really not managed care in that way. They're managing the costs. And I sort of think when you give somebody a blank check and say, tell me what's fair, that's a little bit naive. So I'm not concerned about that so much.
I just had a question about the umbrella. My insurance company, when we talked about this new plan that Michigan's putting into effect, said, if you can afford it, like you said, you know, stay with your coverage that you have, but also add $1 million policy on top of that, an umbrella.
Yeah. So you want me to just explain what that is?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So when you buy your auto and homeowners insurance, it may say that they're going to pay up to $500,000 if you're in an accident. Okay. So if that's enough, very often, you know, that the lawsuits are going to be based on what the attorneys feel they can get. If that's enough, it's fine. But if, you know, if you disable somebody for life and the family says $500,000 doesn't even cut it, that's a few years of income, we need $1 million, then they can sue you for that. So your umbrella, if you picture it as an umbrella, it sort of sits on top of your car insurance policy and your homeowner's policy, because it covers that too for slip and fall. But you would sort of think of your auto and home policy as the deductible for your umbrella. So it covers the first part. And then if you get a bigger lawsuit, your umbrella is going to kick in and cover that liability. That's really, people think about car insurance. If I get into a car accident, what's it going to cost to fix the car? That's fine, but that's not the scary part. The scary part is, God forbid, you kill someone or injure somebody badly and you get sued for hundreds of thousands or $1 million. That's why you're buying your car insurance. That's the protection. That's bankruptcy. You know, just repairing your car is an inconvenience, and that's not pleasant, but that's really not what you're insuring there. So the umbrella, they're usually under $200 a year to add $1 million umbrella. So pretty affordable. And, you know, again, go with your professional, whoever you use for your auto and homeowners. If you have assets to protect, then it's smart to protect them.
Yeah. Can they sue you for more than an umbrella? You know, say you have $1 million.
I think Gene can speak to that, but they can sue you for whatever they want.
Ooh,
doesn't mean they're going to
get scary.
The example I've heard, share, you know, is, you know, you run through a crowd of students in a crosswalk, you know, you got multiple arrows coming at you from different angles. You know, it's like Jan said, you get a Jeffrey Feiger on your tail. If they feel like you're collectible and you have assets, you know, they're going to try to come after those as much as they can, especially if it's a very sympathetic case. So, you know, the umbrella is that extra layer of protection, because, you know, I hear it all the time in our office. The attorneys are, you know, well, we're going after the policy. We're going after the policy. You know, now if you have $20,000, but yet you've got a couple $100,000 in the bank or in investments, you know, they may look at that differently and decide, well, policy's not enough. We're going to go after them because they're collectible. So it's an extra level of protection.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
welcome.
Jean.
But for the group, I know you deal a lot with Medicare enrollment. We're in that season, and I don't know if there's any interest in that question today, but if there is, you know, recommend people ask those questions. You know, yeah, I was just at my in-laws yesterday. In fact, I'll probably be giving them your name, Jan, to talk to, but you know, he's a retired union guy, and you know, the question is going to be, do they stick with what would they have, or do they need something else? Do you have any comments, like what people should be thinking about at this time in general for Medicare re-enrollment?
Well, there's like nothing earth-shaking going on that, you know, that everybody should be running to make changes. The big thing to always watch is your drug card, how your drugs are covered, because that's a moving target. You know, if the doctor changes your meds, then sometimes they're not going to be covered as well as they were when you got your first drug coverage. So just sort of keep an eye on that. Check in with your agent if there were changes. You can also, if you're comfortable online, frankly, I use the Medicare.gov tool. I plug in my clients' prescriptions and it comes up with suggestions for plans. So it's a huge database. It's something that there's just no way I could do it myself. So I rely on it. So if you're curious and you like to play with those things, you can do that. But that's the big moving target. And the only other thing I would throw out is one thing that I've been talking to, especially new entrants to Medicare about, is that I was never really a fan of the Advantage plans very much until last year. Because most of them are HMOs, they were very restrictive. And last year, there's, well, Priority Health has an Edge plan, which is a PPO, and just really interesting. They really wanted it to be a market disruptor, and it is. So with that plan, if you go to Florida, even though you're out of the PPO network, you're going to be covered the same way you'd be here in Michigan. So your primary care office visits are covered 100%. And if you're in Florida, as long as you're going to a doctor that takes Medicare, it's going to be the same game. So that was my biggest concern, was that flexibility, that you were so limited with networks that it made me uncomfortable. So it's a new entrance, it's a new consideration. And what I've been talking to clients about is considering that. I'm not even a proponent of it. They're so close, you know, there's different ways to look at it that, to me, they're all ice cream. There's no bad ice cream. They're just different flavors. So I find a different way to spend money. So if they're spending a couple $100 a month on their supplement and drug card, and this is a fit, then I would rather see them with an Advantage plan and use that couple $100 a month for some kind of long-term care or in-home care benefit. Then the trade-off makes sense. So if you haven't considered an Advantage plan, maybe it's something to look at. I think the bottom line is you're buying security, a sense of security and protection. If you're feeling that, then don't mess with it. It's, you know, that's really what's most important.
So I have to buy the drug coverage from Medicare, because if you don't, they're going to come back later on and say, if you had a gap in your coverage, now we're going to sock you with the big fee, is what everybody's telling me. I don't take anything that is prescription unless accident happens in my world. I take everything that is supplements, and I have to pay out of pocket for over $500 worth of medical stuff every month. And I live on $2,000. I'm like, hello, how do I do this better? Help me.
Well, yeah, so you're right. You need you need to get Part B and Part D when you're supposed to, or there are penalties. And essentially, it's about 10% a year for every year you don't have it. And it's a lifetime penalty. It's not like you write a check and you're done. They raise your rate for the rest of your life. But there's a brand new drug card this year from Silver Scripts. They're owned by Aetna. And it's $7, sorry, I can't stop my phone from ringing here. It's $6.80 a month. So it's really inexpensive and it works. I mean, for generics and things, you'll have savings, but you don't have to spend $20, $30, $40 a month for a drug card to be compliant. That's a good solution for people that are not using anything. I have a brand new deep discount drug card that's free that I can share with you. I would encourage you to try it. I'm getting really good feedback. I was talking to a client yesterday, got a $300 drug, and using this card, he could get it for $18 at Meijer. So there's no guarantee that it'll save money for everybody, but it doesn't cost anything. So, to plug in your scripts and see if it's helpful is probably a good thing. But yes, you should have a drug card when you're supposed to.
I think, though, that there are a fair percentage of people in this group who are very health conscious and try to live their best lives despite their strokes, that actually just have been doing really good homeopathic wellness lifestyle changes that include supplements and not traditional drugs. And I think Elaine's point was that there really isn't anything out there for people that take supplements. I think Sylvia and Pat, they spend a lot of money on supplements, right, Sylvia?
I think part of the question was, and if it's not her question, then I'm asking it, is there a way once you're paying, it sounds like she's paying $500 for all the supplements and she's looking for help to get the supplements paid for. And as far as I know, just the straight Medicare drug plan won't do that. Is there anything we can do to get that covered?
Yeah, so I'll tell you that I pride myself on having solutions for almost everything. And that's a real problem because Medicare specifically, if you look at the wording, specifically excludes supplements. So it's not even like a tangential thing. They're saying right up front, we're not paying for that stuff. So I don't know of any, aside from, shopping online and trying to find, that's what I do when I take a whole bunch of supplements myself. I believe in them. I just go online and I keep looking until I find something that looks credible with good reviews. But beyond that, there is no discount card that I know of, no way to get that covered.
And I'm just going to throw this out there to you. We're a bunch of stroke survivors. So going online and shopping and trying to figure out what's credible and what's not, we can't even unmute ourselves sometimes.
Well, and some of us haven't had strokes, and their car accidents have nothing to do with it, and they still have trouble with muting.
I think that we do a lot of Zoom calls, so Gene and I, and there's always a handful of people that just sort of struggle with it, and it's a different kind of technology. It's not comfortable for everybody. But now I hear what you're saying. That's a challenge.
Jan, you said something that I always hear it and I just really don't understand it, which is sign up for it when you should, or you get penalized the rest of your life. Can you, just for me, if nobody else, explain what that means in
Sure.
simple English?
Yeah. So when you turn 65, that's the most common way to go on Medicare. You have 3 months before the month of and 3 months after your birthday to enroll. Okay, so you need at that point A and B and D. C is your gap. So A and B together are designed to cover 80% of your medical costs. If having to pay 20% doesn't scare you, you can leave that open and not do anything. And that's where all the noise is. That's all the advertising is Medicare supplements, Medicare advantages. That's where all the phone calls, that's the mail, that's what they're talking about. So you have that frame, that time frame for people aging in. Okay. When somebody that has, say, employee benefits, if they're working for a company, this gets really deep in the weeds, so just stop me when you're ready to fall asleep. If they're getting benefits and they work for a company with more than 20 employees, then they don't need to get B or D if they have equivalent coverage. They're fine. But when they retire or get laid off and they lose that coverage, they have to get replacement coverage. So, so they can't have a gap more than 60 days, or it is prorated month by month. It's not even a full year. So you need to have it. That's why I say when you're supposed to have it. So if you've got equivalent coverage, then you're good. But otherwise, and if you're in a smaller company, under 20 employees, then Medicare is primary. So at that point, you need everything.
And so if you don't, like you opt out of something, that's when you get penalized?
Right. It's not even opting out. If you don't sign up, then, I have people that will do that. They're just say, I don't take any meds. I'm not paying for a drug card. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. So, I had that with this guy was from Great Britain, and just, he didn't want anything. He wasn't going to pay for anything. And that was a perfect example of when a zero premium Medicare Advantage plan fits, because his drug card gets rolled in. He's not paying anything anyway. So as long as you're not going to pay something, you might as well have some coverage and be compliant.
On the PIP program, I have 2 cars, and I have to buy that protection on each car separately. How does that make sense? Doesn't make any sense. Seems like I ought to be like one policy covers all cars. That's not how it is.
I have trouble defending some of these things, but certainly I'm not an expert in that, so I can't explain the reasoning behind it, but they're separate policies. So I imagine that's the logic, is it's 2 different cars, 2 different possible liabilities. So they're going to make you pay twice.
Okay, and they do, yeah.
Oh yeah, if they can, they will.
I am still not driving. And so my parents are the ones who drive, and they have auto insurance on their cars. Do I need to look into a separate one for an auto accident, or am I covered as a passenger in their car?
You would be covered as a passenger.
Okay, thank you.
I have to follow up on that one. What if she is a passenger in another vehicle? Say she's taking an Uber or public transport.
That's going to depend on the Uber insurance. And I know that's a really sore point. If you talk to the auto and home agents, they can speak to that. Because when they're driving Uber, they're commercial drivers now. So they have to be covered appropriately, and they can be. But a lot of these folks, it's sort of a side hustle, and they're not professional drivers. They're just doing it for a buck. So they're not disclosing that to their car insurance. So in theory, when you're driving, your passengers are covered under your car insurance. But when you move over to being a commercial driver, there can be some gray areas.
And one of the reasons I ask that, Jan, is say if I decline PIP and somebody is riding with me and there's a car accident and they don't have coverage because they aren't a driver, I've now put myself in crazy jeopardy.
Possibly. I'm not going to go there. I would say talk to your auto and home agent about that, because that's outside of my wheelhouse.
Thanks.
Well, Jan, I appreciate all of the insurance, Medicare issues you brought up, and it's complicated. Wow, I'm going to say that with capital letters, complicated. But we do appreciate that. Also, we have our friend Rich is with us, who is everything legal, elder law, estate. There's a little bit of time for general kind of basic legal questions, any hot topics that aren't, that could possibly benefit the rest of our group. Does anyone have any questions for Jean?
And it's perfectly okay I'm happy to come back anytime, Joyce. So,
That's
I know everybody's digesting what Jan brought today, and I knew
That's
that was
true.
going to happen. I love listening to Jan talk. I am happy to hang around for questions, of course, but feel free to just tap me on the shoulder again. Yeah, Elaine.
I've always got something for you, Guy.
Thank you, Elaine.
So, I just had somebody going through an experience of losing a parent during this COVID thing, and she had some kind of power of attorney paper, but she didn't have guardianship. And we go back to that. Could you clarify for us what kind of papers do we need someone to have on us, or do we need to have if we are caring for someone?
Right. So keep this little phrase in mind. You need the right person with the right power at the right time. So the reason people do powers of attorney, it's as if if I sign a power of attorney, I'm saying I give my hand or my authority to Elaine. Elaine is my agent. So I have a power of attorney giving Elaine a scope of authority, and I can narrow it down. I can say the only thing Elaine can deal with is feeding my dog. Or I can expand it out and she can take them to the vet, or she can buy me more pets, or she can buy the farm. So a power of attorney is how much authority I've given to someone. And the value of that is if it's done correctly, if it covers the situation, it should avoid the only other option to get authority, which is from a judge. So if I do not give Elaine permission to act on my behalf, the only way she's going to get that authority is if she goes to a local probate judge in the county where I live or reside and says, Judge, Jean needs help, and I should be in charge for Jean. Well, that's a process. If it's about care and medical decisions, that title is a guardian. If it's to deal with financial, legal, business, real estate, those kinds of questions, signing contracts, that's going to be a conservatorship. But it's a court process, and the judge doesn't believe Elaine just because she says, I need assistance. The judge says, well, prove it. And then all of a sudden, my kids show up and say, well, whoa, the kid I haven't seen in 30 years shows up and says, well, that's my dad. I should be in charge. And in the law, they actually have priority. Whereas I've known Elaine and I trust her, and in this hypothetical scenario. So the power of attorney is critical. Number one, to make it hopefully easy without court involvement and the expense and the complication and the emotions that go into that. Now, the fact is, sometimes powers of attorney just don't work. I this afternoon had a call from a gentleman who, and it's not his relative. She is an older lady, 91 years old. He is her trusted confidant. She has no children. Her spouse is deceased. And she's unfortunately had some issues. She's now in rehab. And he was going through her bills and realized she's paying $73 a month for Consumers Energy's insurance on her things in the house. He's like, why is she paying $73? So he tried to get that canceled, sent them the power of attorney. So she has a power of attorney I did for her, giving him authority, and they will not recognize it. They're throwing up all these, reasons why they will not. Now, how are we going to make them eat that power of attorney? The next step is I will, as an attorney, send a very strongly worded letter saying you have no basis to reject this. If we have to go to court, which is what they're requesting, we're going to ask the judge to force you to pay our legal fees. I don't know if that'll work. Sometimes it'll happen, but now that power of attorney is not just working automatically. We have resistance. So sometimes, even if you have a power of attorney, the family winds up, or some caregivers wind up going to court just to force someone to recognize the authority. But start with that document. That's the reason it's so critical. Power of attorney prevents going to court for guardianship and conservatorship. Hopefully.
We appreciate Jan Sherman, Jean Richards, having you be here with us. We are very grateful, very blessed to have you share your time and talents. We really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to maybe having you back again. Certainly, Jean, every time we talk to you, we think of 4 more things you could talk to us about. And then you have these great guys and gals that have connections that help us too. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful afternoon, and yay for both of you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. For more information, visit us at www.cainandabel.org or call us at 248-964-4222.